Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Montana Cooley with PC Solutions. It's my pleasure to introduce our speaker today, Mr. Matt Scully. He's the Director of Channel Enablement at Kaseya, and I'm going to let him just go ahead and take it away. And then when he is done, I'll share a short video and information about our next webinar. Mr. Matt, you can take it.
All right, awesome. Thank you, Montana. And thank you, everybody that's at PC Solutions for putting this together. This is important. It's important in the sense that there's a lot of different traps and there's different things that are out there that small, medium-sized businesses, as well as enterprise, that need to be aware of. So what we're going to do is we're going to just dive into that a little bit. We're going to talk about some risks that are out there. We're also going to talk about some examples of those risks and how they affect our everyday life, and what we need to do in order to go and prevent it or at least mitigate through it. All right. So as Montana mentioned, I am Matt Scully. This is my job. This is what I do. I literally go around the world and I do this presentation, not just this presentation, but other presentations as well. Talk to different IT owners, or also small, medium-sized business owners as well, find out what's on their mind and what we can do as far as my company to help them through these crazy, crazy times that we're in. And they are crazy times. And if you're looking at the IT industry, the average spend per company on IT, and I'm talking about everything IT, I'm talking about computers or any type of subscriptions, licenses, or anything, printers, anything that's IT related is $110,000. And that's constantly changing. Matter of fact, they project that that's going to go up 8% literally by 2028. So businesses of all sizes need help navigating through these complex times. When you look at these times, okay, the total amount that's spent in the IT market as a whole in the global is $4.9 trillion. And again, that's going to go up. When we look at companies like PC Solutions in that managed services space, okay, that's a space of 549 billion. And then when you look at that and break that down even more, 250 billion of that is spent on cybersecurity. All right. And then it's 91% that is spent through the channel. Anyway, so let's continue to go on. And I want to talk to you about the Alliance Risk Barometer. Now, the Alliance Risk Barometer, this is a barometer that comes out every single year that has been around since literally, I want to say back in 2010 is when at least I first started looking at it. All right. And so basically what they do is that they get about 4,000 people. And now in those 4,000 people, we're talking about CIOs, we're talking about CEOs, we're talking about risk managers. Okay. And they're out of 92 different countries. And what they say to them is saying, okay, we want to know what keeps you up at night. Okay. What is the one thing that you are nervous for the upcoming year? So what we do is we have the 2024 one. And then when you look at it, okay, this is the thing, okay, cyber incidents, business interruption. Now, business interruption's been on this list for a long time, okay? Natural catastrophes, okay? And then under that is also fire and explosions. You're talking about legislation changes, economic developments, political risk, climate change, and then the big one is shortage of skilled workforce. So when you look at these risks, and again, some of these are repeat offenders there, but when you look at these risks, you say, okay, well, what can happen if I am working with an actual MSP? In other words, if I'm working with PC Solutions, all right, if you look at cyber incidents, business interruption, natural catastrophe, changes in legislation and regulation, fire and explosion, and shortage of skilled workforce, if you're working with an MSP, these can be remediated or prevented. Okay, so that's really important. So you being on this webinar right now is extremely helpful. Okay, you engaged with PC Solutions is a very helpful. So let's go and take a look at some of these risks and how PC Solutions can help. Okay, so Panera Bread was hit. Okay, this was in 2025, and basically what happened from there was that you would go in to Panera Bread, you would go and you'd put your order in, and when you would go and you put your order in, they tell you at the desk, I'm sorry, we're not taking credit cards. So now you have your order, you're with your kids. What do you have to do? You have to go and find an ATM, and then you go and you find an ATM, and then it's like, okay, an ATM is 2 blocks down the road. I mean, do you really think that you're going to go to an ATM, come back, or whatever the case? I'm assuming that you don't have cash in there. Anyway, what we're trying to say is that people that walked in there walked away like dissatisfied, and who knows if they're going to go back on there because of that. All right. So you never know exactly how much a cyber incident can hurt your business. Omni Hotel, this is when we were in a conference in Tennessee last year, and the Omni Hotel suffered a major cyber attack. And some of the interesting things that you had to do, right, is that one, when you went to go check in, there was a line that was going all the way out the door because they had to do everything by manual. Another one is that when you go into your room, you had to be escorted by your room because, again, the keys did not work in there. So you had to show your license and then be escorted by a hotel member, which, again, could take literally 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes for you just to get to your room because escorts are going to other different hotel rooms on there. Again, how does this affect your business? So the question that you want to ask yourself is that, do you have the tools in place to prevent attacks or notify your system if it's compromised? A good conversation with PC Solutions on cyber resilience can help. All right, so this is an interesting one. This is Lincoln University, based in Lincoln, Illinois, named after who, Abraham Lincoln. It's a 157-year institution, and they got hit in December of 2021. They got back up and running in March of 2022. All right, at that point, it was too late. Fundraising and recruiting had passed, and they were forced to close their doors. This is the first major institution that was closed. Their doors had to close because of ransomware. All right. Now, when you talk about fire and explosions, okay, this stuff does happen, okay? Now, if there's a fire or an explosion in your place, what happens to your data? There's 68% of companies that suffer a major data loss. They don't come back. And the question is how are you protecting your infrastructure? God forbid something like that happens. Can you go to a remote, safe place? If you go to do so, do you have access to your IT infrastructure? Again, these are questions that you need to ask. And it's the same thing that goes for natural catastrophes. You're looking at flooding, tornadoes. Again, where's your data being held? But if you look at our business, okay, and this is something that we do every single day, that makes up, okay, fires, floods, and tornadoes makes up about 94% of our business. Okay, if you look at, it makes up 6% of our business. All right, the real culprit that makes up the remaining 94 is human error. And the reason being is that we're so dependent on technology and we're just not good at it. So human error is the major culprit when it comes into these situations. Now, when you look at compliance is a major one, okay? Compliance was a $75 million industry, okay? And right now, 5 years ago, it was a $20 million industry, okay? So just in 5 years, it's literally gone up $55 million, all right? And why do people need compliance? 1, legal protection. 2, building customer trust. 3, efficiency. Also, risk mitigation, reputation. But also what you're starting to see is a lot of different programs, like, for example, cyber insurance. They said, okay, if you are in compliance, if you have a compliance system in place, you'll be more eligible to go and receive an underwriter to go and receive cyber insurance than you would if you were not, okay? So again, working with a company like PC Solutions can help you on that. All right. So when you look at some stories here, these are some interesting stories that came out that affected businesses. One, it was about 2016. Brad Pitt was going through a major divorce there, and I think he actually still is. And they said that he had died. And so what happened was that you had people that were coming back from work and they were going onto social media and they were seeing that, oh, Brad Pitt died, but it was a hoax. And the thing was that if you clicked on that story, guess what? You gave the hackers, an opportunity to go into your company by on that. In other words, the link that they put on there was malware. Okay, this is the type of systems. If you have these things in place, these things can't happen. Having the right AV, having the right security. All right. The other one that we did, and this is a big one, is that shortage of skilled workforce. Now, Gartner predicts that a lack of IT talent will be responsible for about half of the significant cyber incidents by 2026. So what we're saying is that organizations, they lack skills, IT skills, and the average cost for a breach with organizations that have that lack of skill shortage is $5.36 million. Okay, and that's 20% higher than the actual average cost. So what we're starting to see is that, okay, people are realizing that this IT infrastructure, this IT thing is getting so big, we can no longer just hand it to somebody that's in a payroll or human resources or whatever different role. We need to work with the experts, and those experts start with PC Solutions, okay? The other thing that we're seeing is that companies are starting to migrate their workload strategies to the cloud. And what you're going to see from there is you're going to see a lot of AI and machine learning in order to help them to do so. And then right here, this is an interesting story. This is Trevor Hardy. He is he's an MSP, kind of like PC Solutions. He's based in Alabama. But basically what happened with him was that his city, the city that he lives in, they got hit with ransomware. And while they got hit with ransomware, it started to go through all the different city vendors. Okay, so if you were working with the city, and basically the Exchange server went and sent out ransomware to all the different people. Well, Trevor worked with a company called Alliance Packaging, and they got hit from that same malware from the city of Florence, Alabama. And what happened was that because they were working with Trevor, because they were working with an MSP, because they were working with a PC Solutions, they didn't have to pay a ransom. And they were only down literally for 20 minutes. The city of Florence, the one that where it originally came from, they were down for 31 days. And then they had to pay a ransom of over $330,000. So when you hear me say a lot that, hey, talk to the guys, talk to the experts at PC Solutions, it's because of the fact that they're the ones that can help you. And there's another story. This is actually kind of a sad story. This was a lady that was based out of Ottawa. She is a dog rescuer. She literally takes in stray dogs and tries to find them homes. It's really nice, right? Well, she got hit with ransomware, and that she was forced to go and pay $1,500, which she did not have. So what happened was that she went back to the guys, the crooks there, and says, "Hey, I don't have $1,500," and they're like, "You know what? Let's make it $800." So then she had to go and she had to pay the $1,800s. The point of me telling you about this is that these hackers, they don't care. They'll come after every single person, regardless if you were the largest global bank in the world, or somebody that just takes in stray dogs and tries to find them homes. They don't care. So that's why you need to protect yourself. So when you're looking at protecting yourself, what we've done is that we have aligned our services with what we call the NIST framework. Now, the NIST is like best practices and protocols are created by the government, and they basically do everything they can to eliminate cyber crimes and what we call like basically cyber resilience, bring up your cyber resilience, okay? So when you look at it, it comes down to 5 different sectors: identify, protect, detect, respond, and recover. Now, where we saw a lot of the companies were in that protect tab, okay? A lot of the companies that would go and try to do cybersecurity. But what happens is that these hackers are always thinking about tomorrow, right? They're always thinking about ways to go and bypass today's solutions. So if they bypass that protect sector and they go into the detect, we estimate it could take over 150 to 250 days before they are identified or they're detected. And by that point, it could take up 20 months for them to recover. So this is really, really kind of like a guide on where you need to be as far as how you are protecting your company. And what we did is we took it a step further here, right? And so you see that boom on the bottom there, the red boom there.
Mr. Matt, I'm so sorry.
Excuse me?
I'm so sorry. The presentation is not showing.
This is
and
not
I didn't
showing?
want to cut you off, but I couldn't figure out how to get it to you.
Okay, this is not showing it. The whole presentation isn't?
No, sir. I guess from the beginning when we started it stopped sharing. I'm very sorry. I apologize to everyone in here as well.
Okay, no problem. All right. So you know what I'll do is I'll just read the presentation and go in. Okay. So one of the things that we do is that we align ourselves with CISA Cyber Essentials. Okay. So basically, what CISA Cyber Essentials is a it's basically a government issued website, and what they do is they try to bridge companies that are concerned about their cyber warfare and the government. And so it's basically a trusted site that small, medium-sized businesses and enterprise companies go and look at to find out what's the latest and greatest as far as cyber crimes are out there, but what you actually need to protect yourself. So we align our business model with them, okay? Now, there's things that they say you need to do. One is to identify all the assets that you are currently have, okay? All the IT assets. Okay. And then what you need to do is keep up with patches with them. Okay. PC Solutions can help you with that. All the security patches. And these patches can happen quite frequently. So make sure you keep up on that. And then the other thing also that they tell you to do is have a business continuity solution in place on there. All right. And so what we'll do is take a look at that last one and see what that means. Okay. So business continuity means that you have the ability to go get your systems up and running. Okay, should a disaster happen, whether the disaster is that hardware failure, somebody comes in and spills coffee on your computer or your server, somebody clicks on the wrong thing and gets ransomware or malware. What we, CISA, and we're suggesting is that you have to be able to get back up and running within minutes. All right, because what happens is that when you have a boom, in other words, when you have an explosion, whatever the case may be, before the boom is you have all of your systems are compromised. So let's just say, to make this easier, let's just say you work for a law firm and at 11 o'clock, you get hit. Somebody clicks on the wrong thing, whatever the case may be. You suffer a disaster, hardware failure, whatever. What happens before 11 o'clock? In other words, if you work for a law firm, whether it's depositions, whether it's research, whatever the case may be. The other thing is what happens after the boom. And what happens after the boom is like how long you could be down before it starts affecting your business. With business continuity, it hits two birds and one stone. So literally what you do is you just plug right into our system. You go to 10:50, okay, whatever it is, 10 minutes before you suffered the crash. And then what happens is you click on that 10:50, and then your whole entire IT infrastructure comes right up. Okay. All right. So let's look at the other thing. All right. The other thing is what we call multi-factor authentication. Again, this is something that is major important. Now, I know that this is something that we have seen and it's kind of a pain, but I got to tell you how important it is. Okay. Now, the story I usually talk about is John Podesta. John Podesta, he was Hillary Clinton's campaign manager. And in March, somebody sent him a link and said, hey, you need to reset your password on Google. So he goes and he resets his password based on the link that they gave him. However, that link that they gave him was a faulty one because they weren't Google that was letting them know. It was some hackers identifying themselves as Google. So when he clicked on it, basically he went and reset his password, and guess what? All right, now the hackers were able to get into his system, all right, and they were able to look at all of his emails and then go and sell those emails to different sites that went and exposed Hillary. So this is really important. If he had multi-factor authentication in place, this could not have happened. And because of him, multi-factor authentication has completely exploded. The other thing, which is number 3, is ongoing employee training. What are you doing to go and help the employees in your company? Now, attending a webinar like this is a very good step in the right direction, okay? It's a very good step in the right direction. But there's other things that you can do, all right? Now, one of the things that I suggest is that you go into PC Solutions and look at their blog, all right? Now, if I'm looking at the past 6 articles that they have on there, is business training AI help how to hack you, or why phishing attacks spike in August? The average data breach now costs $4.8 million. How much would it cost you? Hackers are logging in, they're not breaking in. All these are really good articles that are there to help you. Business interrupted, the unexpected disaster your IT provider should be planning for. Again, stuff that's right on their blog. What I would do if I was you, I would go onto the blog, I would print these articles out and make sure everybody in the company has one. Again, that's a great way of training. The other way is also to talk to PC Solutions, is that they have training modules that they can help you with that go and improve the cyber posture of your team, of your company. The other one also is number 4 is email and cloud security. Again, the number 1 vector of getting in to hack is what they call a BEC, which is a business email compromise. Very important, because again, people click on things they're not necessarily educated on what's good and what's not, And when they click on the wrong thing, guess what? A disaster can happen. There's also a new thing, what they're calling is called CEO spoofing. And basically, I talked a story about a Toyota where there was a 26-year-old analyst who basically got 3 different emails from what they thought were higher ups from Europe. And they were asking for $13 million 3 different times. And that's not something that falls way out of what his job responsibility is. But what happened was he sent it over to the tune of around $37 million. But what happens was that the hackers were spoofing one of the C-level employees from Toyota, and that's why they sent it over. All right, we're rounding third here. We're talking about penetration testing. Penetration testing is what we call, from our company inside, called Vanahai. The reason that we talk about it as opposed to a vulnerability scan, it's basically when somebody goes in and just sees how vulnerable you are. The reason that we talk about it is the fact that a lot of cyber insurance companies are requiring a penetration test before you are able to go and get a and be able to get a liability insurance. So some of these industries, finance, manufacturing, healthcare, technology, insurance, investment, they're all requiring that you do have a pen test in order for you to get a cyber insurance policy. And then the last one is to establish an incident response plan. You know, our research shows that 71% of the public out there do not, I repeat, that they do not have a incident response plan. So this is conversations that you should be having with PC Solutions, meaning in the sense that, God forbid, somebody goes in, clicks on the wrong thing. Okay, well, what happens next? What should you do? A lot of what we say is to say, okay, let's get to there before it happens. But what you should do is have an incident response plan that, God forbid, hardware failure, someone gets ransomware, someone clicks on the wrong thing, whatever, you should be able to have something to go into place and say, okay, this is what we need to do, type of thing. And with that, I'm done. The last thing is to go and talk to the experts, which I'm going to go hand it back to, and that is to be Montana.
All right, thank you guys. Let me pull up. We appreciate y'all joining today's webinar. If need be, we can get a copy of the webinar to send to you as well, so that you get Mr. Matt's presentation since it didn't go through.
Okay, yep, I could send a copy of this presentation. I'll just send Montana. Why don't you put your email in there and just have everybody just send you an email for you have the names. And then what I'll do is I will send you a copy of this webinar.
And then on 9/25/2025 will be our next webinar. It'll be going over Avoid the Audit Nightmare, 3 IT compliance mistakes that can cost you everything. With that, we appreciate you for joining again, and y'all have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.